Starting out in real estate investment can be tough in California. My last video focused on a couple of strategies for acquiring your first rental property here. This video will go a step further and talk about flipping your first property in California. This won't be the type of video where I talk about flipping without cash because that's a scenario that could prove to be difficult here. So let's get started. Hey, welcome back. Thanks for watching this video, but before you do anything else, hit the subscribe button. Hit it right now. Don't wait. Now's the time to start developing a sound strategy that generates income through real estate while you have time, while you're sitting at home sheltering in place. So having said that, let's keep going. Many people find that flipping property in California is something that's out of reach. They struggle wrapping their minds around the cost of real estate, construction, and other issues specific to California real estate. So if you start by taking a very strategic approach to dipping your toe into the flipping pool, you'll be able to get started without a ton of roadblocks. So what's your starting point? The biggest roadblock is simply just taking the first step. So let's make it easy. Your first step should be learning your market. Find a market that will allow you to comfortably invest, but allows for you to get at least a 20% return on your investment. An easy way to do this is by looking at some of the real estate sites like Zillow and Redfin. They have a ton of data based on property sales in different markets within California. Find areas that are attractive to you based on the initial purchase price. Then look for the neighborhoods where property sales are consistent and inventory levels allow for property to move with about an average of 30 days on market. As long as there are no issues, this means you won't have to wait a ton of time to get your property sold when you put it back on the market. Then you'll want to drill down until you find the properties that sell best by type and location within a neighborhood. This could be a ranch-style home or Victorian or whatever's popular in the community. Then watch. Learn the typical purchase price before and after renovation and look at photos for that type of property to see what sells in the area. Once you understand what buyers want in your market, you'll know what to target. Networking will be your next step. You'll want to start connecting with real estate brokers and lenders in the area. Real estate agents and brokers will be your first networking opportunity because you'll need to find someone to be your guide once you lock in on a market. A good broker will be able to help you understand the area of interest and further confirm your assumptions. Be sure to find one that has other investors that they work with. This type of broker will likely be able to help you make connections with the next group of folks that you'll need to connect with. Lenders. You'll need to find the lenders that deal with fix and flip loans or construction loans. Most flips that you find won't qualify for a conventional mortgage in California. If it's a cosmetic flip, you may be able to make that happen, but there could be challenges. Get as many lender contacts as possible. Each lender or mortgage broker values a deal differently. They'll start by quoting similar targets for loan-to-value limits, but they all appraise the value of a property differently. So it's important to have as many different lenders to work with and make them compete against each other for your business. Since you're working toward your first flip, you'll want to build a relationship with a couple of lenders to show your level of interest and find out if they have options to make your first investment work. Also connect with the other investors in the area. They may be willing to share contacts and experiences or let you shadow them on a project to get some understanding of what you'll go through during the process. This is extremely helpful as you'll have a lot of new information hitting you at all times. If you've never managed a construction project, ask a lot of questions about managing subs, purchasing material, and dealing with inspectors. The next connections to make will be construction talent. If you track some of the flips in your market, you'll start to uncover the names of the investors and their general contractors. Sometimes they could be one and the same. Looking at their work should help you understand who to connect with for your construction needs when you secure your first project. You'll want to start building a relationship with someone that's willing to hold your hand through the process and isn't the most expensive option. If you can build a relationship that almost functions as a partnership, there'll be benefits down the road that you'll appreciate as you get into more difficult projects. You'll want to visit a couple of their job sites to see how things are being managed. A disorganized and dirty job site can indicate problems that you don't want on your projects. So the final step you'll need to work on is creating an entity for investment. Most investors start with an LLC or a limited liability company. I'll stop here and recommend that you seek the counsel of an accountant to help you understand the tax ramifications of each type of entity. Find the entity that works best for you and your situation and get it formed immediately. All right, so you've done a lot of research and hopefully you've done everything to be prepared for your first flip. We'll start by assuming a couple of things like you have access to cash, whether it's your own or borrowed, and a good credit score. If not, there are ways to get around that, but I'll touch on those in a bit. So once you lock in on your property, you'll want to determine your purchase price and renovation budget. Your goal will be to ensure those two numbers are no more than 70% of your after repair value. An example would be finding a property that costs $250,000 and needs about $50,000 in work. Based on these numbers, you'll need to sell that property for around $430,000. Most fix and flip lenders will operate solely on that standard 70% loan to value number and go from there. This also keeps you safe in the event that you open up the property and find that there's more to do than what you expect. One quick note. When creating your renovation budget, try to leave a 10% contingency for cost overruns. So if your budget's $50,000, you'll probably want to account for about $55,000 just to be safe. So now you're ready to write the offer and do your inspections. When you visit the property initially, you should try to have your general contractor go with you to assess the property and ensure that your assumptions are correct about that property. For your first project, I would suggest keeping an inspection contingency written in your offer to ensure that you have a way to back out if your repair costs are going to exceed more than what you have available. If you plan on making changes to the structure or the floor plan, you'll also want to bring along an architect or designer to view the property prior to the close of escrow. You'll want to have them do measurements for initial renderings of the property and begin the design work for the end product. Based on project valuation, you may be able to find a lender that's willing to loan about 80% of the purchase price and 100% of the renovation costs. There are also lenders that will lend solely on the acquisition, but you'll want to start with the other scenario first because it requires less money out of pocket. In addition, having a deal with a lender for construction draws gives you additional experience with respect to lender relationship management. Having the flexibility of rolling as much as your renovation costs into your loan will be extremely helpful. Keep in mind that this does not mean that you can do the project without your own cash. If you have your renovation funds included in the loan, you'll still need to have your own cash to float the project until the lender reimburses you through a draw request. Factor in having about 30% of your renovation costs on hand to carry you on material purchases and initial payments to subcontractors. After you close escrow on the property, you'll need to have all plans and permits secured to begin the work. The reason that I recommend having the architect visit the property when you do your inspection is because it will give that person time to draw up plans while you're in escrow. This will allow you to begin securing your permits shortly after getting the keys to the property to begin the work. In some situations, you can purchase a demolition permit prior to having the approved building permit. This allows you to begin your demo work as soon as you're ready. The renovation process is pretty self-explanatory, but truly unique for each property. I won't go into the details here, but you should have come up with the right scope of work to get your property ready for your buyers based on your prior research. Your job should now be monitoring the progress from beginning to completion and looking for your next property. Now let's get it on the market. The smart move will be to use the agent that helped you acquire the property to sell it as well. They should have been instrumental in helping you find the property and should be equally as valuable in selling it. You'll want to get the property cleaned and staged for buyers to take a look. Your agent should be able to help you with this. Property media will be next. That means great photos from a real estate photographer and perhaps even a video of the space. A bonus item could be aerial photos taken by a drone to highlight the neighborhood based on your property's location. To make your sales process easier, you may want to get a home inspection to ensure that you've resolved all issues during renovation. This will help buyers feel comfortable in writing an offer that you've done what was necessary to give them a fully functional home. With these items in hand, the agent can now list and show the property for you. Remember that everything is a negotiation. If the agent collected commission on the purchase of the property, you'll want to see if you can negotiate something lower than their standard fee for selling the property. If you can demonstrate a willingness to have an ongoing relationship, this shouldn't be too difficult. While you're waiting for an offer on your property, be sure to be looking for your next property. Don't stop and smell the roses. You'll want to consult your accountant to find the best strategy on how to approach taxation on the profit of your first deal to ensure that you have the most capital available for your next purchase. After all of your hard work, you should have an offer in hand that meets your needs. If your buyer doesn't find any issues with the home, then the transaction should be smooth. If there are any issues, then you may have to make some repairs or provide a credit at the close of escrow to your buyer if necessary. Be sure that you have the agent negotiate the best options for you. They will have seen a number of issues and know how to handle them. If all went well, and we are assuming that you used a scenario from earlier, then you likely received a profit of about $75,000, depending upon closing costs, taxes, and commissions. That's a great profit for your first flip, but now it's time to do it again. All right, so here's a final point. If you don't have the cash, but were able to find a deal and find a lender, you may be able to take on a partner that has the cash to close the transaction. This means you'll have to share your profit, but at least you'll be off the sidelines and into the game. In a situation like this, you'll want to ensure that you have a partnership agreement that spells out all the roles and responsibilities of the partnership. So I know that's a lot, but hopefully it breaks down how you start your flipping business in California. There are many more steps that could be covered, like developing a business plan and business goals. I'll do more content in the future to touch on those topics to help you grow your business. If you find this information helpful, hit the like button. Definitely hit the subscribe button to see any content that I have around investing. Now is the right time to study and get prepared for your first flip while we're sheltering in place. Stay safe, and I'll talk to you soon.